Yo, yo, what's up? You guys have reached Good Karma Group. We are going to have our first live stream. I don't know what we're going to call it just yet, but when we do figure out a name on what we want to call this session, we will update our thumbnails, but or in our headliners for it. But I'm Zach. I'm one of the owners of Good Karma. We're going to be talking about a lot of things today. We'll see where it goes. But first things first, I got to bring out my co-CEO of Good Karma, a guy that has been in the industry over a decade. He will explain all of the illegal things that he possibly has done in this industry, but we'll cover the legal things first. Hopefully, he brought some good party favors for us to be able to share and partake and have a conversation about all this good news because we got some good stuff. But ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube world and of the internet world, if you guys have not met my partner yet, I would like to introduce you. He's a little less melanated as me, but he's a brother. Let me introduce you guys to my good partner, Big Sean.
Hey, Big Zach.
Yo, yo.
What's going on? Thank you, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Hey, man. It's our channel, baby. How you feeling, man?
Go, Pop. I feel like we need a bottle of champagne for the first one, but this is fun. Some weed will do today.
Hey, you know what we gonna do? We gonna pop some joints. You got any weed with you, bro?
I'm pulling something up. I'm a little late to the party, but I'm going to get one rolled on stream
Okay.
here.
Okay. Yeah.
Check
What
my
you
note. Apricot gelato today.
what is that? Indica, sativa? What you got there?
Oh, it's in that whole hype bubble with, it looks purple. It smells kind of like gelato with something else in it. But this one's really nice. It's got citrus notes in it, which I really like. So I'm a
I like
big fan, big, old school orange buds fan. Anything that tastes like doesn't taste like weed, but it's actually that weed's natural smell.
Yep. I tell you what, dog, I love me a citrus flavor, but my favorite all time is anything lemon. I'm a sucker for just like a lemon sativa, lemon hybrid. I don't care what it is, just anything lemon. I'm loving it.
Oof, man, it brings me back immediately. I know you introed me a little bit, but just a little snippet. One of my favorite, pre-recreational strains to grow was for lemon haze.
Ooh.
Amazing. Got from people that actually ended up entering the Washington cannabis business, but were really big on phenotype hunting up in the San Juan Island here in Washington before recreational went. So it was a really big.
Nice. Sean, before I give your intro any further, stand by. We got another guest. We got our other partner that's going to be joining us from Good Karma. So we got Good Karma 3 going today. There's a Good Karma 4 in the total group. So we're not completely Voltroned up yet. But ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, internet, of all the world, I want to introduce you to my other co-host slash business partner. This is a guy that is a diehard Laker fan, a diehard Seahawk fan, diehard Nike lover, as well as top shelf cannabis. This guy has traveled all over the world as basically anything and everything, you name it. So his perspectives on life and things like that come from years and years of a lot of trap work, a lot of over the top legal work. So I'll give the stage to our good partner, Steve.
Hey,
What up? What's going on?
I feel like
we get this
that I don't have right now.
Yeah.
Hey.
Out here in the field making it happen, Captain.
That's right.
So what's going on with you, Steve?
Nothing, man. Just trying to sell some weed in broad daylight.
Yep. You smoking on anything today?
Oh yeah, man. I'm waiting to get done with this haircut, and I'm gonna go have myself a nice little session. I got a pick, hash rosin pre-roll on deck.
Oh damn.
Nice.
Ready to go, man. Ready to go.
Well, I'm smoking on some Gelinade. I came across this one. This is Artisan and Artisan Cannabis out here in Washington State. It is a sativa hybrid. and we were talking about, I didn't even realize this, Sean. We were talking about lemon, right? This is a cross of lemon tree and gelato. I knew there was a reason why I like this shit so damn much, bro. I was like, damn, the first time I tried it, I was like, it's probably an indica. So I seen Gelinade, and I saw that it was a gelato hybrid. So I'm like, I probably won't hit like a sativa. Then I saw the indication on it was a sativa, tried it out. The flavor panel on it is absolutely insane, bro. It is insane, dog. One of the best pre-rolls that I've had in a long time.
I'm gonna have to try
Um,
it.
it's called Gelinade, Gelonad, like Gatorade, but Gelinade. Um,
Oh,
It's fire.
smells good. Smells
It's
like
real
that
good.
nice, like citrusy smell. And there's two pre-rolls that come to a tube. So shout out to Artisan for coming up with our supply for today for me. I'm gonna
sure.
go ahead and get this started. Sean, if you want to just give like a quick little couple minutes about you, we'll go to Steve, and then we'll go right. I got about five main items that we could talk about that's been going on in our Cannabis today or this week. That's fucking crazy, man. So, Sean, man, the mic is yours while I get this joint going, bro.
Appreciate it. I'll light mine in just a second, but I did hear Zach's introduction. Definitely a long time in the cannabis world, to be honest. Started out as a huge fan of cannabis in high school. Really felt like it helped calm, in a way that was very beneficial. There was obviously some setbacks too. It didn't really encourage me to stick with the school route as much, but definitely, gave me a handle on just my everyday activities, kind of focused me a little more, and then brought me into the cannabis world, which I say my college experience was my 4 years down in Oregon and California growing outdoor weed. I lost money doing it, similar to college. It wasn't what got me rich in the short term. And I went away from home for a good 4 years, met a lot of people, and learned a lot of things. Indoor cannabis growing and outdoor cannabis growing is obviously very different. But that's where it started about 4 years after being out in those woods, which can be scary at times. I know you guys have seen some documentaries from that area. Uh, those documentaries are real and more down there, wild places, especially for people that didn't grow up down there or necessarily the part for being. I brought my ass back to Seattle and was broke and decided to go into sales of software. I thought that this was something I wanted to do mostly because of uh, with software sales at the time. That didn't last long. The company started up and it didn't last too long. And, I ended up quitting there one day. And on my walk home, I lived in Seattle at the time. I walked by one of the bigger stores, retail outlets called Urban Legends in Seattle, and went in and asked for a job. Real cannabis engagements actually up on San Juan Islands, like I mentioned earlier, and ended up getting a job there. Fast forward, I was the GM, the buyer, and I did about 10 of them for about a year. Uh, Looked around the shelves one day because I really wanted to get back to grow. Took a took a job with a very prominent 502 process here. The cannabis in
You
Washington.
break it up a little bit, Sean.
Yeah, your audio is a little choppy, homie.
A little better now.
Can you hear us?
There you
Oh, way
go.
better. Way
Thank
better.
you guys. I got to get my microphone set up next time, but
You good? You good?
yeah. So long story short, went from outdoor growing for 4 or 5 years to the professional side of cannabis here in Washington, behind the scenes at a retail store, and then have just really kind of worked back towards being near people that are growing weed, so I can be near the plant without the responsibility of growing it for profit. But been in cannabis sales professionally in 502 for 4 or 5 years now. Love every day of it. It's a dream come true. Absolutely.
Beautiful. Beautiful, man. Thank you for sharing that, bro.
Yeah.
Steve-O, what about you, my man? Anything you want to let the folks know that I haven't listed about you?
Nah, man, you pretty much nailed it, dude. I got in about 9 years ago, uh, and had to do what I had to do in the medical market to get my 502 business going to raise funds. Um, We've done everything from retail to processing to full-blown farms. The only thing we really haven't done is delivery yet, but we've covered just about every aspect in the industry, and we were the first state, so we've kind of had a leap on everyone else. And it's really interesting to see how the rest of the country kind of rolls out their plans. And I'm just a cannabis hobbyist, man. I love the industry. I love the product. As I transition into my 40s, I'm enjoying the edibles more and more and more.
Yeah.
And I love everything about it, man. I love the retail aspect. I love the grow aspect. Probably my favorite's the sales aspect. You know, you get out there and just move your product, man, with no with no anxiety, pretty much, which is you know, it was an adjustment at the beginning, but that's it, man. This is basically what we eat, sleep, shit, and you know, everything
Oh,
is this. So yeah, man, that's about it. I'm the sales director at a pretty big producer processor in the Seattle metro area, and I love it.
Right
great.
on.
That's about it.
So thank you for that introduction. That was wonderful, Steve and Sean. Um, you guys ready to talk a little cannabis news real quick? See what's
Oh
going
yeah,
on. All
oh
right.
yeah,
Talking.
yeah.
I'll save my intro for a whole nother session. It's a lot of stuff to cover. So just know that I'm Zach. I'm with GKG. These my homies. We're missing one. Kelly, we know that you're out there in the field right now. We got one of our guys, one of our CEOs that's out in Las Vegas right now. He's at the MJ BizCon. So you are missed. Special shout out to our homie Kelly Afro Adams. And we'll get right into it. So, fellas, the first thing that popped up in cannabis news today was Oregon Farms. There's a report out from the Willamette Weekly, and it says that cannabis farms are growing too much weed. So, no shit, right? So
Yeah.
the
No
report is
shit.
saying that the cannabis harvest for this year actually is 9% less than last year when they were in the deficit, and it's 15% less than where they were at in 2021, which is a lot worse knowing that they're not even selling 15% less weed than where they were when they were probably at their peak in 2021. And what the reporting on this news article I was reading was that there's like a mass exodus. Like people are walking away completely from their licenses. Like they're just leaving their equipment. Employees are walking away. The business owners are not paying their taxes, and
Yep.
they're actually just walking away from their licenses. Any thoughts on that, Sean?
I mean, absolutely. Happy to take the mic here for a second on that. My thoughts on that in general are the passion for growing weed is so strong here on the West Coast that if you're in, you grow as much as you can. That you're not going to make more money as an individual entity by growing less weed. I mean, there's ways you can focus on other things, but growing weed outdoors is relatively automated this year or these days. So I see an increase in overall efficiency of production. If that was a stat that we could have access to, the efficiency within production of these farms outdoors it's getting more and more efficient. So these are business owners that are also doing other endeavors that have a couple people working for them, like is indicative of employees not getting paid on bad years. And they're growing as many plants as they can. And if they leave, someone else or that's been waiting for their shot usually moves in. So I don't see this issue of Oregon growing too much ever changing. It's only too much for the state of Oregon, right? As soon as they can ship elsewhere, I think Oregon won't be growing enough. So
That's a
more,
very good
more,
point, bro. That's a very good point.
more the same to come from Oregon. Nothing new in that news article, in my opinion.
Hey, Oregon, just hang tight. That's what we're telling you. Hang tight. They gonna start opening this shit up. You're gonna be
Yeah.
able to sell it to Pennsylvania. Um, I got one good one that I'll save for last about this, but it actually works in pretty good with this. Steve, any thoughts you got on this, man? Before we move on.
Yeah, man, that Oregon market's probably the toughest market in the country, and it's been the toughest market in the
Very
country
good point.
for a very long period of time. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to get into the Oregon market, put your mouthpiece in because it's gonna be a long sled, man. So I think Oregon's only saving grace is what you two just highlighted. If interstate commerce gets lifted by the feds, and that's a
Yeah.
big possibility during this election cycle, I think it'll be a talking point for those candidates. And if they actually do lift the veil, that's going to create a whole myriad of problems for us up here in Washington, because Oregon, like you guys are saying, it's going to go ham. It's going to go New Mexico, Arizona. There'll be price points that will be culture shocks for the rest of our markets coming out of there.
Awesome.
So it's it's a mixed bag for me, man. But I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Dog, very, very fucking excellent point for both of you guys. But that's true. Hang on to what you got in Oregon because shit's gonna get better. We all know that. All right. Number two, we got this one from ABC News. Came out probably about, I don't know, maybe about a couple hours ago. There's a report. There was a 20-year report through the University of Sydney, I believe it was. Yeah, it was the Matilda Research in Mental Health at the University of Sydney, fellas. It says that cannabis use does not reduce long-term opioid or heroin use. Let's see, relationship between substances was no correlation whatsoever. This possibly could include, and I don't know what the test was, but opioids like prescription pills as well too. I don't know if it just went into opioids as like heroin, going right into your vein or cocaine itself or whatever, but it did not include pills. So I know that number one, there may not be this study that shows that, but I know for a fact that there's people that have cured themselves from the opioid crisis or used cannabis as a therapy to be able to help themselves detox from opioids, like pill popping things like that, but not like
Yeah.
shooting up. But this test says that University of Sydney says they did a 20-year test, 20-year study. It did not list how many people that they tested or monitored during that 20-year study. So when I see shit like this and I don't see the numbers, I'm
Right.
always skeptical. You know what I mean? But it was a 20-year study. We don't know how many people was tested during that time, but they say that there's no correlation between therapeutic long-term cannabis use for heroin and opioids. Steve,
Wow.
what you think, man?
Yeah, man. I have a problem with case studies that don't divulge all the information. Like, how old were these people? How long were they drug addicts? I know it
Yeah.
varies from person to person. What kind of strains were you using? Were you guys using indoor chronic? Were you using outdoor? Were you using hoop out? Like, yeah, that's where my brain immediately goes. Like, are you gonna supposed to have some shitty
Yeah,
product?
yeah, exactly.
And what kind of product you got over there in Australia? Because I got
Yeah.
some shit over here that'll help you right out. So, yeah, man. For me,
That's true. That's
yeah,
just 2 points.
man.
It is Australia. We don't know none of that shit
Yeah,
because
bro.
I don't know. I ain't never had Australian weed. Have you,
I
Sean?
haven't either. I didn't know there was a thing.
No, but I'm a guy as hell.
I promise you, if any of us go to Australia with some of our shit, we blow their collective lids
Hey,
off.
that's a
So
good point, dog. That's a
I
very
don't,
good point.
I don't
Yeah.
know about this 20-year case study. Also, man, it hasn't been weed hasn't been legal for 20 years. So you were using most likely boof
Some
to
booth,
do
yeah,
this.
some Reggie and shit.
So
That's
yeah, I'm gonna go
true.
ahead and I'm
That,
gonna go ahead and put that one in the trash bin for now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
What you
think
think, Sean?
his statements here. I was going to go right into that. I think that a 20-year study on cannabis done by anyone with any credibility and that put effort in is valuable. With that said, it's a very specific set of data, as we have already broken down in the 3 minutes we've been talking about, that may not apply to many people outside of that study. To be honest, unfortunately, with how much things have changed in 20 years, the geographical location of that study, I think reading into it and figuring out exactly how that this study went down would obviously provide people some insight. So I think that people watching or listening should absolutely go read that article and try to get more info, as I'm sure it's useful in a sense. But as an overarching, we have now decided that cannabis doesn't help, heroin users. I think that's pretty misleading.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, next one. Germany. Germany, what's up?
Hey,
You guys are likely going to legalize adult use cannabis in 2024, and according to Forbes. So Forbes article just came out about a day or two ago. Says that there's a three-headed monster agency right, of political parties who have been adversaries against all this, right? In Germany, um, let's see. I don't know exactly. Oh, I do know exactly the names. So the three parties, this three-headed monster that was like putting up like Hunger Games, like contest against each other to see if they were going to legalize it, what it was going to look like, who was the strongest party, et cetera, et cetera. So one of them was the Social Democratic Party. Sounds pretty cool. The other one was the Free Democratic Party, and then the third party was just called the Greens. So to be able to get legalization in Germany, these three-headed parties had to be able to all unanimously agree on how it was going to be regulated out. They call it the DPA. It's something German. I don't even know how to pronunciate the word for it. But it's called the Traffic Light Coalition. Those three. That's what they call it in English, the Traffic Light Coalition. So this traffic light coalition decided that they're going to reach an agreement, and come April 2024, Germany is going to legalize cannabis. In July of that year, of next year, they're going to open up social clubs. They don't really go into detail about what that's going to look like, what the social clubs, is it going to look like anything like the Amsterdam days? Because you guys know they did shut that down temporarily until this was going. So, yeah, Germany, shout out to you guys. Congratulations. Holler at us. We can help you out with any of your packaging, your cannabis consulting needs. Got to give us a little shameless plug on that. Sean, what you think about that one, man?
Well, man, so they would be the ninth country to fully legalize cannabis.
Good point. Good point.
Most
Yeah.
would be Canada. So, I mean, what I first think is, are these countries that have now established it as a legal federal product, whatever they call it in their own country, are they going to start doing some intercontinental business? You know, Canada has a lot of space and land to grow cannabis that they invested in, what, 5, 10 years ago during the big cannabis stock boom. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that it was really positioning for things like this, where they could begin international distribution. So, good job, Germany. We need more. It's crazy that in 2023 leading into 2024, we have under 10 countries in the whole world with legal cannabis. But I mean, that number's going up, as we know. So, a lot to
Be,
unpack there. Overall, I think it's a great thing.
Before I get to you about it, Steve, I left out a couple things about it. I want to see your insight on it too, man. So the limits, they talked about the limits. So there's still one more vote. Just by the way, they have one more vote that has to be passed next week. But it looks like, for all intents and purposes, everything's a green light. So the limits are going to be increased. So you're looking at 25 to 30 grams that you can legally possess in public. They're also going to allow you to have 50 to
Damn.
60 grams in private at your home. The criminal fines on this, though, if you're in public and you have over 30 grams, right now, as it stands, the fines are $109,572. That's
Whoa.
going to that's going to be reduced. That's going to be reduced to $32,871. So they're like, look, you can be able to possess it, but if your ass is over this 30 grams in public, we taking 32 racks from your pockets because you're
That's
selling,
great.
you trapping. And if you have it in your house and it's over 60 grams, that's another 32 racks that they're just going to impose a fine on. And it's not going to be a court, magistrate, judge, jury, just $32,000 fine. Take out your pocket. If you want to be a drug lord and you get caught, you pay the fucking fine and you move on. So, again, this is for a final vote for next week. Steve, anything you want to add to this, bud?
Yeah, man. Pretty curious to see how it plays out. Germany has the third highest GDP in the world after us and
Good
China,
point.
and
Yeah, damn.
they're by far the biggest economic power in the EU. So I'm real curious to see what that industry does. I don't know if they're gonna have public data on it like we do here in Washington,
I hope so.
but I'm
That'd be
I'm
nice.
real curious to see what the euro price point is for an eighth indoor outdoor hoop house, what concentrates go for. So I'm gonna be watching that one real close because that's a huge market. Germany has a ton of buying power, man,
By
and
far the biggest
the
cannabis market.
rest of the EU will probably follow suit after them.
One
So
thing
something
that I
definitely.
know that one thing I know that I'm also monitoring is I don't know about in Germany, but just in the EU itself, they're talking a lot about smoking. So they don't want to have the smell. So a lot of
Mm,
vape products are going to be regulated tightly about it as well too. So I kind of foresee a lot of new changes
edibles.
in edibles, things. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, yeah, congrats to Germany. All right. So another one is going on, just came out about 45 minutes ago now, I'd say. Um, Virginia, the great state of Virginia. This is from the Cardinal News. Shout out to you guys. Um, this is a couple weeks before they're getting ready to have their reconvenience for their 2024 session. So the Democrats have now taken over as the majority in that state, right? And they're getting ready to reconvene for their 2024 session. This report just comes out. It's a 78-page report, fellas, and it's from the General Assembly session. So it was like a special party put together of all the experts in the industry, retailers, lobbyists, politicians, you name it, the whole shebang, right? Um, and this is week before it was before this session is getting ready to reconvene. Um, so they said that this is a live stream that they did, I think a couple days ago in Richmond, Virginia, and they said that the prices are significantly higher for medical in Virginia than it is in any other state in the country, also in any other area in that Maryland, that DMV area, they like to call it, you know what I'm saying? The DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Um, and they reported that 90% of their medical patients go and buy outside other means for their cannabis. 90%.
Damn.
Because they said, well, we need to be able to reduce this. What's going on? Why would they leave outside the state? We have good weed in, the great state of Virginia, right? The average per gram in Virginia is $19 to $14. Wherein they can go 20 minutes, 30 minutes down the road. And in DC and Maryland, the average price per gram is $8.73 to $9.27. So
I
they
mean,
can take it and go and sell it if they wanted to. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to get no advice, but hey, Sean, what you think, man?
duh.
Right?
What's going on, Virginia? 19. I know that it's not that good. It can't be that good. What's going on? Do they not have? It probably comes down to the government involvement. Prices in our state here in Washington are still really affordable, but the tax that entities pay to operate is very high.
Mm-hmm.
Washington's kind of an anomaly, and maybe Virginia just has similar stuff where a lot of the money is being taken out by taxes, and then, so the people that are operating businesses are just charging maybe what they actually should, given that tax rate. Who knows? But I know there's more to this story. Virginia dropping the price a little bit, but yeah, as long as it's twice as expensive and another state is not too far away, people are going to go shop.
100%. Steve, what you think about this, man?
I just don't get it, man. You have all the sales metric data from all the legalized states. So you should be able to draw from that and then set your price point to where you're making your tax money. So Virginia, you're missing out on all this tax money because you're set up completely wrong.
Oh, is
That's what
this
I got.
all medical still? So that's just
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
operators.
yeah,
Get that recreational rolled out quick and get that tax money, man.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
the opposite. They should be getting it cheaper for medical, and they should be able to
Yeah.
have access to higher potency products. So
Yeah.
if you have a person legitimately using it, medicating for cancer, they're spending most of their retirement or their medical or their social security up on trying to buy medical in Virginia. Come on, man. Y'all got to do better than that.
That's robbery, man.
Do
That is
better.
robbery. Yeah,
Do better.
do better, Virginia. Do better.
Call
Um,
us.
all right, yeah. All right. So check this one out, fellas. Here's another one. Um, coming to Minnesota, November 28th. So that is what, today, right? Or yesterday?
It was
Today? I can't
yesterday.
remember. That was
Yesterday, I
yesterday.
think.
So starting
Yeah.
yesterday, November 28th, 2023, in Minnesota, they're doing a trial, um, a trial program for new roadside cannabis tests for DUIs.
God.
So it'll be able to help
Whoa.
law enforcement ascertain if you have high potency of THC in your system at the time of the stop. So the source is the Valley News Live out of Minnesota, I'm assuming. Um, the guy that was interviewed about this, I guess he was the creator of this or the proprietor for it. He says that it's a lot like the breathalyzer. So I guess you just blow into this machine. It's a portable test, so you don't have to be in custody. So if the cop pulls you over, they don't have to take you downtown to the station. They have a portable that's going to be in these specialized cars around town in Minnesota, in the state of Minnesota. Um, this is a key point. This test that they're going to be administering is not admissible in court. I'll say it again, it's
Ah,
not admissible in court. It may also be able to test because what it does is it tests for the metabolites of THC. It also can test for other metabolites of any chemical that of their choosing, sounds like. So if the pilot goes well, the state will be asking for a full program for enforcement. Any thoughts on that,
yeah.
fellas?
Definitely would not want to live over there during this trial period. I don't know how that's going to work. How do they differentiate you smoking from last night to getting pulled over in the morning when you're sober? Like, I have a ton of questions, and I'm glad our state's not the guinea pig for something like
Yeah,
that. I
that's a
don't.
good point.
It's not
They
admissible,
they
so there's no teeth, which
it
is
did
cool.
it
But
didn't it didn't really show. They said that you'll be able to tell like from a higher concentration from your
hmm,
metabolites from your breath if you just recently consumed. They wouldn't be able to tell, or they can be able to tell the difference from if you smoked yesterday versus if you just smoked just at the time,
yeah, I got a lot of questions about that. that,
right?
that sounds like a
And
crazy
like,
prototype.
and before I cut you off, you were saying something about the admissibility in court and all that too. My bad.
Yeah, yeah. I was just saying, you have that backstop, but you're still going to go through all that trouble, and it sounds like a nightmare, man. To me, I don't know how, unless you can show me some hard data on this device and how it differentiates you smoking from one session the previous day or night or what have you, and then you get pulled over for having a tail light out or something the next morning. Yeah, I'm gonna need to see more long-term stats on whatever this device is. But something eventually was going to happen, right, fellas? Like something eventually was going to roll out to make sure the states got their DUI type of money. And
Yeah,
this is
because
probably the
the
first
alcohol
one.
is probably shoring up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That well's drying up, man.
Yeah.
So they got to figure something out. I knew it was coming eventually. I'm just not. I'm skeptical of the technology and how they differentiate that shit.
Yeah. Yeah,
What
I
you
agree.
think, Sean?
think I think that comparing this to alcohol, which is obviously we're now going to be testing for two different kinds of impairments amongst drivers. So this is a natural comparison. I think that we're a little lucky that we can test for alcohol so effectively across so many different body types, tolerance, all that. With that said, alcohol DUI tests are always backed up with field sobriety tests, and I think that is how you make things work. And as long as I can smoke some weed, drive my car, and pass the field sobriety test and be all right, I think a lot of people that are functional smokers, that'll be their out. It does bring up a bigger, story, talking point that we can go into probably with the whole session. Some point is where it lies on your moral compass to smoke and drive. I've, not had any bad accidents smoking and driving in the times that I have. I won't divulge how often that is. It's a lot less than it used to be, thankfully. But I think if I would have gotten a bad accident while I was impaired smoking weed, that I would have necessary and natural guilt, and there's some culpability there. I mean, I want safe drivers out there. I don't want anyone to be selfishly endangering anyone else. So I support testing. With that said, I echo a lot of the concerns that Steve mentioned with just accurately telling if someone is dangerously impaired or not.
Yeah, who's to say that what percentage for that person is allowable for their system, you know, and
Right.
that's where the science, why they haven't really regulated it as an enforceable test.
Right.
It hasn't passed the litmus test of that for so long. So I'll say this, for anybody out there that's, you know, facing anything like that, if you ever get pulled over, you know, we're not giving you any legal advice, but those are, just remember, all of these tests are optional. And until you are in handcuffs and you're down at the police station, everything that you do or say is optional. Don't talk about your day. Don't do anything. There's a good there's a good Instagram and like YouTube and stuff. These guys, those lawyers, they're like, I'm not here to talk about my day. I don't want to talk about my day. I'm not here to discuss anything. Yada yada yada. That's sound advice. We're not giving it to you, but check that out. Um,
Yes,
so
sir.
Vegas, MJ BizCon is this week. Of course, we've talked about that just a bit, but our brother Kelly is out there right now, and he's going live here in a bit at 11 o'clock, getting inside the pavilion over there. This is the largest cannabis convention in the world right now, as it stands. I think it's like the seventh, eighth year. I don't know how many years this has been going on. This is one of the first years that they pointed out in the news and out in the public mainstream that they're putting a big emphasis on social equity this year, and that's going to be a big topic of discussion. I went last year. There was a lot of classes and courses and networking events too. That it was amazing. So this year in the news, they were really talking about social equity as being a big topic for it. They're saying now though that the state of Nevada is also considering consumption lounges being allowed first to social equity applicants. Sean, what you think about this, man?
I mean, I think that smoking lounges are obviously around the corner. I think that is a much safer thing than the bar scene that we do have. So I think that around whatever loopholes we need to start into that is a great thing. Um, I don't know how it's going to play out, but I absolutely am a fan of groups that haven't had access to the developments of this business getting a I wouldn't even call it a head start on anything, just given a path to catch up a little bit in terms of business ownership. So I think that's a great idea for Nevada to do. I look forward to watching it closely because that opens. We'll be there, right, guys?
Yep, you already know. Steve, I saved you for last because I know our experience in the consumption lounge, homie. That was amazing in San
Yeah,
Fran, man.
yeah,
And
man.
for people that haven't been, man, give them your perspective of you probably been to the best. I mean, we haven't been to Amsterdam, but we went to one of the best ones out in San Francisco, man, and it was
Yeah,
amazing
On air.
before
Zach and
COVID,
I,
pre-COVID.
we had the pleasure of working in San Francisco on a project for a couple of years in the Bay Area, and they had a place called Barbary Coast where they had a consumption lounge,
Yeah,
and they
shout
had
out to
a
Barbary Coast, man. You guys
big shout out.
are
One of
amazing.
the
Yeah,
amazing storefront. It's kind of like a Churchill's in Spokane. The restaurant, everything's top notch. Aesthetics are off the chain. Bud tenders knew everything, and then you go
everything.
into the consumption lounge after you make your purchase, and a very attractive lady rolled up our purchases and put them into a pre-roll, and we watched Monday Night Football in a room full of people consuming. So from a social aspect, unbelievable. From a business owner aspect, I've owned a bar before. There's not a lot of money in that game, but this is cannabis, so I'm kind of intrigued. I don't think you're gonna have all the rowdy problems you would in a normal bar with cannabis. I think it'll be the opposite, and I think they'll do really well, man. I think I think we really need those rolled out across every state. There needs to be a consumption lounge. They need to figure out how to do that. California's got them, and the one we went to was top notch. Great
Yeah.
experience. Would do it again immediately. And I tell everybody when they bring up consumption lounge, like there's this place in San Francisco called Barbary Coast that'll peel your cat back, man. Unbelievable.
It's on my list.
Yeah, yeah. Well, from one coast to the other coast, we'll go to NYC real quick, and then we'll wrap it up with one more topic, and then will say our dues. So New York City, or the state of New York, actually, the Cannabis Board approves the deal to settle dispensary lawsuits. So there was a lot of blockage for dispensary owners, especially through the social equity program, like we were just talking about. The veterans came into play on this and said, "Hey, what about the vets? You know what I'm saying? You're giving it away to these guys. What about the dudes that fought for this country? What about?" And then so it just opened up a whole hodgepodge of other discussions, which were very, good topics of discussion. We had to at least address those, but the legality of it was holding up about 400 people from opening up a retail store and making profits, because everyone kept calling the red flag and wanted to see the tape. So Flag Broadcasting is where I got my source from for this. It still needs a judge approval, but it was approved by the board. So that was the big loophole that they had to get by first, was the state of New York had to approve it, the cannabis board. So if it's approved by the judge, this will lift the order that prevented New York State from processing or issuing retail cannabis licenses since August of this year. This will give over about 400 recreational retail licenses, like we talked about. Steve, what's your thoughts first, man?
For me, man, as you know, you introduced me to a really cool cat from the East Coast, Mike. He's kind of my go-to. He's with House of Diamonds over here
Yeah,
in
shout out to
Seattle.
Mike, Big Mike.
And
Yeah.
I just rapped with Mike for about an hour. He took me to lunch at the interchange, and he said New York's a total free for all right now, man. They're moving stuff out of every bodega, every corner shop, and we're not just talking cannabis. We're talking mushrooms and everything else you can think of. So for me, that market sounds like total chaos, and these stores getting open and regulated and getting set up. That's a big step forward in kind of quelling all that chaos and trying to reel it in, because that's the second strongest economy in our entire country. So I'm real curious to see what kind of horsepower revenue wise New York has. And I think that's a big win for them, man, to just reel in all the chaos and get these 400 stores open. My question is where's the weed coming from? Are the farms ready to go, or are they just like we were in the beginning, where the liquor board just looked the other way and gave you a grace period so you could get stuff into your shop? So that's going to be a real curious ongoing development that I'm going to keep my eye on pretty closely.
Man, you already know, bro. You already know what they going down in New York, man. They just gonna have some stuff sold and pay taxes on it. However you
Yep.
get it in the shop, just make
Just
sure
don't
it's
tell me
it's
about
it's,
it.
it's in.
Yeah.
Hey, put it in the system, and we got to pay taxes on that shit.
Yep. Yep. Make
Sean,
sure
what
your
you think,
taxes are
man?
paid.
I mean, I like it. I think cannabis needs to get open there sooner than later, but I do like the pause to give potential recognition to the veteran program. I I think that is a group that absolutely, a lot of people work their day job, and if another opportunity arises, they can jump on it and be prepared. If they need to quit the other job, they can be there to do it. I think people in active service don't have that option, and this whole thing, the
Good
world
point.
can change from a cannabis perspective in your home state while you're gone, and for a lot of people, it did, obviously. So I think it's really a great thing for them to award some licenses to people, to veterans. I also think it would be great for states like our own, and any state that is struggling with veteran, healthcare, to take some of that tax money and put it towards that as well.
Great point. Great point, bro. All right, last one for us, and then we'll wrap it up. The USDA is officially giving an ultimatum to all U.S. farmers across the country, right? Um, this is from Politico. The USDA is revoking hemp licenses for farmers who have also chosen to sell legal cannabis. So if they find out that you're selling hemp and you're also selling cannabis on the side or on the front too, they're cutting you off. They're not allowing you to do that. You have to make an ultimatum. Either you're going to be in this hemp game or you're going to be in this THC game in the retail or in the cannabis. So, excuse me, the hemp industry officials say that the lack of legal clarity from the feds has scared off retailers from selling hemp derived products. and tank the price of the crop. So they're saying that's the main reason why you can go buy, a couple pounds or probably like a pound or two of hemp for like $30, $40 right now. It's
Damn.
insane because the farmers that are growing hemp now are scared to also grow cannabis with it, which means that could also open up a whole nother Pandora's box of how close is hemp to being cannabis, and how close is cannabis to being hemp. If you're growing those two things and they find it, or if it's caught, USDA can come in and they could swing their big axe. Um, John, what you think about that first, man?
I mean, I think it makes sense to separate the farms, unfortunately, just from a contamination standpoint. And then also, we know weed farmers. Weed farmers are crafty. Like, we'll figure it out. To plant weed and use a pulley to get it to tops of trees. Like, we will figure out how to grow weed. And so I think a lot of that is just saying, man, we can't let them have it both on the same property, because now we really don't know what the hell's going on or how to regulate. So, I mean, long story short, I think they should probably have a distance between farms that these things need to be. But you can't have, I think it's going to be really hard to make a cannabis farmer not be a hemp farmer and a hemp farmer not be a cannabis farmer. It's like, I can't grow apples and pears. Like, I think that they're things that should be able to be grown by the same entity. Obviously, they're going to have to figure out ways to separate these crops physically by enough space so that contamination is kept.
Yeah, I agree. Steve, what you think?
Man, I just echo what Sean said. They got to do something. Like, I get why they're doing that. But yeah, Sean's right, man. Cannabis growers are very crafty, and
Yep.
good luck regulating that, and good luck enforcing it. I'm sure they'll make an example of a few people who aren't the slickest, but I don't see how you're going to enforce that nationwide.
I mean,
So,
and is relatively useless outside of an industrial crop. The only reason it had hype is because it was legal, and people were like, "Oh, there's a thing like weed that's legal." But what businesses realize is that, let's go back to weed growers being crafty. There is actual THC cannabis everywhere in this country, and not very many people need to smoke hemp. Period.
no, you can make things out
Well
of it
said.
like this. My favorite chapstick.
Come on,
That's about all I use them for.
we can make
So,
some hemp-based T-shirts, but
there you go.
a roll of
Maybe
hemp
some hempcrete.
time
But
soon.
I
That
have yet to
hempcrete is
see that.
insane.
I have yet to see
I
it in
was
the real
watching.
world.
I went down a rabbit hole and I was watching some stuff the other night about hemp, and the hempcrete is actually amazing, man. Like, it's fireproof, so it won't burn your building down, your structures. It costs a little bit more, I do believe, but it's just because it's a new industry and it hasn't been well established. Not a new industry, but the processing and purchasing of it is not well established. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think that hemp would it scares off hemp farmers if you can't make any money off of selling anything else. But those points are well valid, So I
Yep.
don't know if maybe this is the end of commercialized hemp for some people, which is kind of
Yeah.
sad because I've had some hemp derived products that are amazing, phenomenal. I want to see that industry grow a little bit more to see what it actually turns into. But it don't seem like it's going to happen in 2024, according to the USDA. Fellas,
As cannabis in this whole country before our country figures out how to make money off smokable or ingestible hemp. So.
totally. Um, this was good. I don't know what you guys thought. I'm high. I got a nice little buzz. Thanks,
Yeah.
Artisan. That was amazing. That Gelinade got me talking. You see that sativa at work for us? How you feeling right now, Sean? After your experience?
I mean, I smoked a very similar strain to you today, and we did not plan this, people, but I did, again, just to go back to it, apricot gelato. So he's got some lemon in his gelato. I got apricot in mine. And from a weed standpoint, I mean, anything with gelato in it, one of the best things people can't say, anything else about with this stuff and these hype strains with gelato and runs is they're relaxing. And then if you mix in a good kind of stimulating sativa, you got a good episode like we just did. So shout out
Yeah.
our.
Right
Yep.
on.
Got mine on deck.
Yes, sir. Steve, any parting notes for our audience that may be watching? Anything? I'll put it like this. How about this? I want you to talk to LeBron directly as a Laker fan And just give him a message before we get up out of here too, Steve, if you don't mind, man. Maybe,
LeBron,
who knows? Maybe he'll watch it.
thank you for coming to our franchise when we were we're at our lowest.
Get the
I'll
popcorn.
say we had a clown show out there, and you came, you adjusted things, and you got us back in the winning bracket, and I love it. But what we're at right now, we need to break this thing back down to the studs, and we need to build around our young talent. We love you, man. You can't play forever, and I want to make sure that we get the most out of you. And what years you do have left, and that means AD got to go. We got to bring in some young talent. We got to trade some guys, and we need some young legs in there. I love Ruri. I love Reeves. I love Vando's defense. We do
Yeah.
have some young guys, but we're definitely on the older end overall. And D'Angelo, you don't play defense, so get me somebody in there who can guard the perimeter, because I'm tired of it, man.
But you got to play D.
Tired of you
Yeah.
being a glass cannon. So that's what I got, man, on the Lake Show.
Steve dropping
Hopefully it gets
bombs.
better.
I'm drop one. We need these guys back ASAP. Where they at? Come on.
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
Absolutely. It's coming soon. Have you heard?
Yep.
Vegas and Seattle next up. And
Yeah.
I hope that they still call it the Sonics. I don't know if they will for
Oh, they
sure, but I don't.
better.
There's no other team. There's no other name you could call it. Like, we just gonna call it the Sonics. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
We'll
Hey,
have to
it's like-
break that one down, but I think we got the naming rights. I may
Yeah,
be
you
wrong.
do.
I'm stoned.
You do have the
Okay.
naming rights from
Okay,
Clay
dope.
Bennett. But yeah, man, if they try to pull that shit, it would be like X and Twitter. Ain't nobody calling it X. So, yeah.
Sean,
fun.
is there any way, anything you want the folks to know, or how to find you, or just find you right on here, or what's the deal?
I mean, yeah, stay tuned here. This is the beginning of what's going to be a lot of fun and good, relevant info for cannabis. And I think, as people can see, we got a lot of potential to go elsewhere with our conversation. So I think it will be all encapsulating and a lot of fun. You can find me on Instagram, Slauson_ after it, S Lawson. Other than that, keep in touch with us here. And I mean, I look forward to doing more of these. I appreciate it. It was really fun, you guys.
That was a great time.
Yeah. How about you, Steve? How can people find you if you want them to find you?
You can find me on here. Otherwise, I don't want you to find me.
You ain't gonna get them to Twitter.
You can find me on here, baby. That's where you can find me. Or you can find me at your local retail store, dropping off product and making moves. So
That's
this is
what
where
the
you'll
fuck I'm talking
primarily find
about.
me.
That's what I'm talking about. Spoken like a true trapper right there, boy. I love it. Same for me. Good Karma Group. We're on Instagram. Good_Karma_group. We're here on YouTube. We're gonna start creating some shorts. I run most of the social media right now, just out of getting stoned and just screwing around with it. Sean's going to be posting some great info and doing some great videos and stuff. So this is just the first of it. And then you guys just haven't even met Kelly yet. So that's going to be a whole nother level of conversation and episode 2 that you guys will hopefully enjoy as well. Shout out to Raider Nation. I know that we've been struggling, so just hang tight. Stay off of Twitter, stay off the internet for a little while, y'all. It'll be all right. Seahawks, I know you guys had enough, NFC discussion. Hang in there. You got Dallas this week. It's gonna be all good. You know what I'm saying? There you go. Yeah, I think that's good. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys could do 5 million things in the world. You guys chose to be able to tune in with us. We appreciate you. We don't take that for granted. And from here on out, for the rest of your day, we wish you guys good karma. Peace.
Oh, thank you.
Peace.
Cheers, guys.